for coming to this wonderful, amazing event that Grandmaster Bowen and his team, Jessica and Gwen, have put on. I'm very honored to be on the cover of Who's Who in the Martial Art 2023 issue. I was on the second cover back in 2016, and like Grandmaster said, whenever he calls me, I definitely am there for him, because I so believe in all the things that he does for all martial artists. And it's out of his heart, it's out of love, it's out of family, and like he said, it's not for himself. We were just having this discussion right here. And I think this book is so awesome because it's not about me, it's not about me being on the cover, it's about you being in the book and sharing your legacies. And legacy is a very important thing to me. It's not about having a monument with your life on, it's about living a monumental life and having others be inspired to do the same. And I think so many times we just don't realize the impact that we have on people as martial art instructors. Just the other day, I thought he was a fan and he wanted to do a 10-minute Zoom chat with me. And he said, yeah, I just want to ask you a few questions. So I didn't know who he was, so I was at my house and I put the Zoom on, and he comes on and he sees me, and all of a sudden he starts tearing up, crying, right? And I'm thinking, oh wow, you know, this is really nice, this is a fan. And he said, you know, you are my hero. And he said, I started taking martial arts because I saw one of your films. And, you know, as far as legacy goes, a lot of times people will say, what was the legacy that you'd like to leave? And one of them, the main one, is that I like the fact that I bring people into martial arts. When people tell me that they started doing martial arts because, you know, they saw me in competition, they read a magazine article, they saw a movie, I love that because I am such an advocate that I think everybody should know martial arts for many reasons. So anyway, this guy went on to tell me that he was bullied in school, in high school. And when he graduated high school, he went out one night and he was attacked by a couple different guys. And he thought he was gonna die. And he said, I remembered something that you said in a movie, and I'm thinking, what I said in the movie that would have impacted him so much? And he said, you said in the film, if you can breathe, you can still fight. Now, I don't remember saying that, but he was like, yeah, I remember when you said that. And he goes, that gave me the courage to say, yes, I can still breathe, so I'm gonna get up and fight. And he got up, and enough for these guys left him alone, and he survived it. And he goes, you don't know what an impact for 43 years of my life this has meant. And that just inspired me so much, you know, that just this impact. And I never would have known if he would have gave me the chat. And I feel it's the same for everybody. Like all these stories in the book, just one person has to read it and has to help their life, and it's gonna mean so much. And I was inspired a couple of reasons just last night. And I'm always about inspiring people or getting inspired. And I was inspired twice. One was by Randy. When he came up and talked about his book, and he said, you know, it wasn't about myself. I was writing it for my daughter because I wanted my daughter to know my legacy. And then all of a sudden it became a big seller, bestseller. And who would have thought that that would have happened? You know, it come out of the love of his heart. And that's such an inspiration to people. And the other thing is Craig, his two students, two women there, came up to me. And Mary Lou, right? Mary Lou, stand up because I am so inspired by you. Mary Lou is 75, and she is testing her brown belt. And one of the things that I'm an advocate is about age. I don't like it when people say, oh, I'm too old to do this, I'm too old to do that. And I think, you know, you're only as old as you think. And this beautiful woman, her goal and her aspiration is to be a black belt. And let's give her a big hand, because I said I'm going to tell that story so many times because when people say, oh, I'm 40 and I can't do that, you know, look at her, 75, and her goal is to be a black belt. So one of the things that also I want to talk about is my instructor. My first martial art instructor was Frank Chinovich from Tung Sudo. And it wasn't easy for me in the beginning. I'm sure Rita can attune to this. We were both competing around the same era where martial arts was considered a man's sport, that women really couldn't defend themselves because of their size. And I think throughout my whole life, I have been such a trailblazer for women, as long as Rita and Maggie is doing it, and I love seeing women empowerment getting out there and showing the world that, martial arts is for everybody and everybody could do it. But back in that day, I was 13 years old, and I was kind of an out-of-the-box kind of kid, and I still am. I like to do things that are different and unusual. And my girlfriend's parents were studying martial arts, but they owned a health club. And on Sunday, we would go to this health club, and they would clean the equipment, and we'd go in the big room and do cartwheels and flips, while they were cleaning. And then one day they come in, and they have their karate uniforms on, and they're practicing, and my eyes got really wide, and I was like, wow, what are you doing? And they said, well, we're doing Tang Soo Do. And I was like, what is that? They said, we learn how to defend ourselves with our hands and our feet. And I thought, even at this young age, how awesome is that? And wow, I like that uniform. I'd like to get one of those belts. So I went home, and I told my mom, I said, I want to study karate. And my mom was used to me, even at this age, of trying so many things. I've tried, I went dance, I did baton lessons, I did guitar, I did piano, you name it, I tried it, and now here I want to try martial arts. But the thing is, I never really stuck with anything. I just tried it for a while. So I go into my class, and back then we were having a discussion about martial arts back in the 70s. It's not like it is today. It's not a business. The instructors had jobs. They were teaching part-time at night, and they didn't really care about the money. It was more like if you were tough enough to hang with them, then you could do martial arts. And my first class, I had a green belt teach me, and he taught me the front kick. And he said, all right, I want you to break this board. And now this board isn't like the thin boards you see today, with those big thick boards with 3 knots in it, and it was already broken. So you know how hard it is to break like a half a board? So he goes, try this with your front kick. So of course I tried it, and broke my toe. So now I go hobbling home, and I'm going, well, that didn't work so well. So then the next week I go back to class, and they put me now, after 2 lessons, into the big class with all the men, and they put me in the sparring class. I have no idea what sparring is, and I got hit in the head with a roundhouse kick. Tears are coming out of my eyes, and my instructor comes over to me and says, don't block with your head. I was like, oh, this is so not going how I wanted. Then I felt very intimidated, all the men shouting, and here I am, and I can't shout. And then I started getting blisters on my feet from all the pivoting, and I would go to class with about 10 different Band-Aids wrapped around on my toes, and I was like, Mom, I don't want to do this. It's not what I thought. My mom said, I signed you up for 4 months. I have to pay for 4 months. It was like $25 a month. You're going. You're going to finish it out. So reluctantly, I went back to class. And I was studying now. It was about 2 months. And we were getting ready to test. And I was testing for that white belt 1 stripe. You're there, right? 3 months, that white belt 1 stripe. And I'm sitting there, and my instructor gave this speech. And this speech is probably one of the most important things that I've ever heard in my life, because it's stuck with me all these years. He said, quitters are losers. And if you quit martial arts because it's too hard or you have a negative reason, you're a loser. And I thought, oh my gosh, he's reading my mind. And all of a sudden I thought he was focusing right on me. Look, and this whole speech was to me. And he said, if your attitude is negative, you're not going to succeed in life. You have to have a positive attitude. And I was so petrified by these words, because I thought they were directed to me, that I said, well, it's true. I'm learning basic Form 1, block, punch, block. I couldn't get that turn. So I said, you know what? I have a bad attitude about it. I'm going to practice it. Practice. All of a sudden, I got it. And then I hated push-ups. Back in the day when one person did something wrong, everybody had to do 50 push-ups, so you end up in the class doing like 1,000 push-ups. I hated that. And I said, you know what? I love push-ups. I love push-ups. They're good for my arms. They're good. They're going to make me strong. So when we had to do push-ups, I changed my mind. So now we fast forward to about 5.5 months. I tested, and not only did I get my black stripe, I got orange belt 1 stripe. I passed a belt, because his words were so important to me that, yes, I have to really work hard at this. And it gave me the lesson of never to give up. Things are hard in life, but if we fail, we just got to get back up and do it again. And if it wasn't for his words, it would have changed the whole path of my life. You know, the career that I'm on, I wouldn't be doing martial arts. And I wish he was around to be in this book so people could see his legacy and how it impacted my life. So it's very, very, very important. So now about when I competed, my instructor wanted me to go into a competition at 5.5 months. Back in the day, you remember, it was just women, all ranks. You know, so they didn't care if you were training 10 years or 2 months, you're in the same rank. And I took second place. Black belt took first, black belt took third, and I took second with basic form 3, you know, and they were doing Basai Dai and all these fancy forms. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna set a goal. I'm going to be the best in martial art form. I'm going to practice so hard. So I went from 2 days a week to 5 days a week, and I set this goal. And this is one of the things that I feel martial arts does. It helps us to set goals and keep them. And it's not only about your training, it's about your life, you know, setting that goal. And sometimes we do something that, you know, say, oh, I want to lose like 10 pounds, and then you go out and have that banana cream pie, you know, and then you get all upset, but you know, it's okay, you get back on the track. And I always think that life is kind of like a GPS. We plug in where we want to go, but maybe we take a wrong turn, but the GPS will always get us back on track. And that's how I feel about our life, is that we always get back on track. And I changed a lot of minds about women. I was the first woman to be on the cover of Karate Illustrated magazine, and the editor was told, you know, no, women and minorities don't sell. You can't put her on. And he fought, and he fought, and he fought, and finally they put me on and opened doors for women. But again, it wasn't like I think until about 10 years they had another woman on the cover. But, you know, it was to show you, yes, you know, here we are, and, you know, blazing and blazing for women. I appreciate, you look in the room, like half of it is women, and so women power. Thank you so much for being in martial arts, for supporting your family in martial arts. And, you know, Jesse, I just so adore you for what you're all about. You know, I'm so honored to be part of the Cynthia Rothrock Scholarship, which you are having for women, like to get involved in martial arts. You have the scholarships for young people of America, and I think that's what we need to do, you know. And I find, you know, as we get older, we learn that now it's time to give back to everybody for everything that we've learned. And this is such a great way to give back, is by sharing your legacies. And he was saying to me, you know, that you all can have your books. And I think it's so awesome. I mean, just like you said, you know, look how successful and popular and how many people you are going to impact with your book. And you were just doing it, you know, for your daughter. So I encourage everybody, you know, to get your book out there, get your stories out there. Because if you just impact one person's life, it's so worth it. And our legacy, it doesn't stop while we're living. It continues on to all the people that we choose to inspire. And I also think martial arts gives us to accept challenges. I recently had a challenge. For those of you that know, again, I'm showing that women in film can produce their own movies, star in their own movies, and be in control. I've done over 70 movies, and now I'm finally going to do my own film. And this for so long, but I was afraid. I was like, oh, I was afraid to fail. I've had friends say, I went on Kickstarter, I had my very good friends say, why do you think you're going to succeed? Because so-and-so, very popular male martial artist, put his platform on Kickstarter, wanted $1 million, only raised 32. How do you think you're going to raise your money? And I started getting nervous, going, yeah, and then I'm all about faith too. And I believe we should listen to things we said. And my mom passed away a couple years ago, and I heard my mom very distinctly say to me, it's time for you to do this. And I've learned that as I've gotten older, when I get those messages that I feel they're coming from God, we really have to follow them. We really have to follow them and have faith in what we do. And we have become the second successful action picture in the history of Kickstarter. And just, follow your dream. It's all about your dreams that, they do come true. You have to make them come true. You can't just expect them to happen. You have to do your homework, like in everything. So I'm just so honored. I congratulate everybody here for being inducted into Who's Who 2023 book, and looking forward to the 10th anniversary one. You can see when it started from the beginning to what it has evolved, and how everything evolves. When you're doing something out of love, out of your heart, you can only be successful. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being in the book. That I'm honored, and I am truly honored to be in this book with each and every one of you.